Hello and thank you for joining me. I am Nolotando. Today we will be looking at resume writing tips. Now, the first thing you want to do when you are writing a resume, well, when you are planning to write a good resume, the first thing you want to do is to choose your resume format. Now, we've got three resume formats that are quite popular at the moment. Just a heads up before I continue with the video, I am going to mention that I am just going to rush through the points because I do have a blog post I have written on tips on how to write a good resume. So I am going to leave the link right below so you can click and go see the full details of the post. Right. So I said when you are planning to write a good resume, the first thing you want to do is to choose a good format. Now, usually we've got three different types of resume formats. And the first one, as you can see, I have shared my screen. The first one is chronological resume format. Now, the chronological is the most common type of resume, which showcases your experience, how long you have been working, and the duties you have been doing at your work. Now, this is also mostly preferred by most recruiters and employers, and this type of resume is also very, very, very popular. So it's very recommendable to use this type of resume. The next one I am going to tell you about is functional resume format. Now, this type of resume is skills based and it is responsible for outlining your educational background and training, and it is mostly used by people who does not have that much of experience, and also it is used by people who show immense or maybe great gaps in their employment history, and also people who are looking to change careers. Now, this type of resume is not really advisable to use because it's not that popular. Not a lot of people are using this type of resume format at the moment. The next one is combination resume formats. Now, frankly, this is a combination of both the chronological and functional resume formats. So what you do here actually is you include a bit of your work experience and as well as your skills. Now, this type of resume format is mostly used by people who've got a lot of experience and people who have got uh, great amount of skills in their jobs. Now, also, just like the functional, it is not recommendable to use the combinational resume formats because also it is not that popular. So, like I said, recruiters and the employers are so used to seeing chronological resume formats. So, it's best and also very advisable to use the chronological format. Now, I am going to move on and give you tips to follow when you are writing your resume. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to include a cover letter. Now, it is very advisable. I would really encourage you to use a cover letter when you are writing your resume. The reason is a cover letter enables you to showcase your personality to your employer, and also it allows you to kind of provide a recap of your experience as well as your skills. So you are doing this in your writing style. So the recruiter or the employer is actually engaged because they get to see your style of writing and your communication style. So what is to also what you should know is that a cover letter is not always what's the word, it's not always required, you're not always required to send through a cover letter. The reason is because some recruiters just do not have time to go through your cover letter. But however, now that we do know that a cover letter is a thing, so it is very advisable to follow what other people are doing. So you would want to include your cover letter because you don't want little points to dismiss your application. Right. So on your cover letter, what you include exactly is your skills. As I said, it's your skills, your work experience. You also want to kind of tell your employer what is actually important about you, what is special about you, what are you bringing in the company, what are the benefits you are bringing with you, and as well as how you are going to improve the company, as well as what actually attracted you to send through an application to the company. Right. So the next thing you'll want to include is, as I said, choosing a format. That should have been the first point. So what we're going to tackle next is include a header to present your contact details. So on your template should have a header. So a header, if like I did mention, there is a blog post that has examples of the there is my writing tips. So the cover letter will actually contain your personal details, which will be your contact details, your name, your physical address, your email address, as well as your professional social accounts, which is mostly LinkedIn. So including these personal details will help your employer to sort of find you when they are looking for you and to sort of know where you are from and how they contact you in case they need to contact you. Right. So the next thing you'll want to include is a summary. Now, when you are including a summary, it's very important to write a very engaging and attractive summary so that you'll attract your reader to continue and look at your resume. So, on your salary, what you're actually doing, you are selling yourself to the recruiter or your employer. So you do not have to kind of explain. You don't have to explain to the recruiter or potential employer that you are a good candidate. You don't do that. What you actually do is you show the recruiter or your employer that you are a good candidate. Right. So next, what you want to include are your skills. Now, when you are writing skills, there are two types of skills. Number one, we have soft skills. Now, soft skills are your personal traits. Um, this will include your communication skills, your organizational skills, as your disciplinary skills. Now, these are your personal traits. Normally, these will just come with you, and you will sell yourself using your personal, natural skills. All right. And what we do have next are hard skills. Now, hard skills are teachable and they are also learned. Now, hard skills, so an example of a hard skill is maybe Microsoft. Maybe you are too good at Microsoft, or you are good at Photoshop, or you are good at web designing, you are good with WordPress. Now, those are hard skills that you happen to learn and you have mastered. Right. So, what you should include next is your work experience. Now, your work experience is also helps you to sell yourself to the recruiter or your potential employer. Now, your work experience, you really want to start with your latest job or your latest position, because so let's just say in 2006 you were working at a store at a store, let's just say store, and right now in 2021, you are applying for an administration position. So you cannot start with what you were doing at the store because it doesn't reflect on what you are actually applying for now, which is an administration position. So you want to start with a job that will actually be relevant to the job you are currently applying for. All right, I hope you are getting the idea here. Also, as I mentioned, there are full details as well as examples on the post I have written that will sort of guide you when you are writing your resume. So the next point is to tailor your work experience section by including keywords. Now, keywords are words or sort of phrases that the post will have. Now, the recruiter or the employer will include on the post that they are looking for someone who's diligent. They are looking for someone who's got Microsoft Word maybe Microsoft Word certificate or something like that. So maybe another keyword the employer will write that they are looking for a person who is able to work within a team, a person um, who is adaptable, all those sort of words that you see on the post. What you want to do is you want to include them on your resume. Uh, they are certain types of there are certain sections of your resume you can include your keywords. Now, this will be your summary. You can include keywords on your summary. You can include keywords on your cover letter. You can include keywords on your work experience also, as well as your skills. So you cannot want to look at what the post says, the actual post, the actual job post. You want to look at what does the employer says they want, and you want to include that all those qualities on your resume. Now, be very careful not to overdo it, because your employer or your recruiter will be just will just lose focus, and they will think that you tried to trick the robot actually to get through. All right. So the next thing you'll want to include is your education. Now, this is straightforward. What you want to do is to mention your qualifications. Now, this is very straightforward. You want to include where have you started, when have you started, where and what kind of maybe which country or city have you been attending to, and you also want to include your dates. Also, as I have mentioned, I will mention again, there is a blog post that is very detailed, that gives you detailed steps on how to write a resume. It also has examples as well. So next, I am going to give you words that you want to avoid when you are writing a resume. Now, these are deal breakers that you really want to avoid so that you cannot lose your job, or you cannot lose the reader as soon as they start reading your resume. Now, the first word is I. Now, I is a deal breaker even at school. You do not want to include I every time you start a sentence, every time you start a paragraph. You do not want to include I. So, the best thing you want to do to avoid using I, you want to look at joining words. You just want to go on Google and search for joining words. Right. Number two is salary negotiable. So you do not say this because you are in a position where you are applying for a job. So you are not in a position where you can negotiate your salary, right? That is you come across as very aggressive and arrogant, right? So the next phrase you want to include it, you want to avoid is references available by request. Now, this is straightforward. Everyone knows this. You do not have to include this. If the employer or the recruiter needs references from you, they will require those. They will require those details from you. You do not have to tell them that you will be able to provide it once they request. This is very straightforward. Again, these are deal breakers. Now, next, you do not want to mention that you are a hard worker. A lot of people mention this, and when they actually do get the job, they are not hard workers. So, employers and recruiters are tired of hearing this word. They actually want to see if you are a hardworking candidate. The next one is a go-getter. All these words are deal breakers. You do not want to tell your recruiter or your employer that you are a go-getter. You come across as very arrogant and aggressive also. Now, thank you very much for joining me, and thank you for listening to or watching this video. And as I've mentioned, I have a blog post on my website that I have also included examples that will guide you along when you are writing your resume. Thank you so much. I will see you again next time.